Welcome back. In this lesson, I want us to look at return values. So in addition to having functions that can have parameters or accept things, our functions could also return something or some things. Okay, so let's say we wanted to create a function. I'm going to call this function sum of list. Okay, so this function will take a list as its uh, only argument, and then it will return the sum of that list. Okay, so we will say that the name of the parameter will be list to sum. Okay, and so all we will do is to say result is the sum of the list, which is named list to sum. Okay, so if I call this function, okay, let's call this function. So let's call our function, and so we will say sum of list, and let's create a variable that contains our list. So our test list. Let's call it having 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so we know that the result should be 4 and 3, that's 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so the result should be 10. Okay, so everything looks okay. Let's call the function, and of course it's giving me a warning. Okay, alright, so Python is telling me that there's an argument that's missing. So of course I need to put my argument here. So test list, and let's try again. Okay, so it works. Let me show that to you again. It works, but nothing. Well, I shouldn't say it works. It runs without any error, but it's not giving us the results that we want, which is to see the sum of the list, which is 10. So the reason why is because we have not sent back this result. So we have computed or calculated the answer. We saved it in this variable named result, but we did not send it back. Remember, if you recall, I said that when a function is executed, Python creates a private space for that function. And when the function finishes executing, that space is destroyed along with any variable that was created there. So it means that result was destroyed. So before our function terminates, we should probably send it out. Okay, so we will say return result. What return does is to take whatever this variable is, or whatever comes after the return, and send it back out to the environment which called it. In this case, it was called from the global frame. So the answer 10 would be sent back to the global frame. Okay, so let's try again. Notice the warning has disappeared. Okay, but we're still not getting the answer. Now, the reason is if you send something out of the function, then here in the global space, we need to catch it. We need to save it. Okay, and to do that, we simply create a variable. So we could say result, or we could even say answer. Okay, let's use result. Seems like a more reasonable name. Okay, so whatever this function call returns will be saved in result. Let's try again. Still nothing happens. Well, nothing happens because we're not doing anything with our result. So we could easily say print result. Okay, and we'll see that it returns 10. Of course, you could do some formatting and you could say the sum of your list is, okay, dot format, and then we're going to close it. Okay, so okay, if I start at single, I need to end with single. Okay, so let's try again, and it says the sum of your list is 10. Okay, and of course this should work with any list. So if I change this to 5, 1 to 5, then we should get probably 15. Alright, so it works. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this lesson, where we have a function that can take one or more arguments, and this function can return one excuse me, one or more values. Okay, and to see that, let's say we wanted to not only return the sum, we wanted to also return the first value of the list. So we could say first is list to sum 0. Okay, and how do we return that? Well, we could simply say comma and then first. Okay, so that works. And so what Python will return is these two values, the 15 and the 1. Unfortunately, we are only saving one of them. Alright, so to put each one in its individual variable, we simply create two variables. So we're going to say result, comma, and then first. Okay, and if I say play, then the sum is 15, and then I could simply say the sum of your list is 15, and then I could say print the first item in your list is, and then we could easily say that format first. Okay, so once again, we could return one or more values from a function, similar to how we can accept one or more arguments, or we could send one or more arguments, or we could have one or more parameters to the function. Okay, and notice that all of the code in the function is aligned. Okay, for this instance, of course, we could have many things in a function. We could have conditionals in a function. We could have iteration in a function, like we saw in the last lesson. So whatever you can do, we could have data structures in a function. So whatever we have learned so far, we can incorporate all of those ideas into a function. Alright, so once again, the important thing about a function is that you only need to write the code once, and when you want access to the functionality that the code provides, you simply call the name along with whatever arguments the function might require, and you need to safely take care or save or catch whatever values the function returns. But as you know, the function doesn't have to return any value, as well as the function doesn't have to have any parameters. Okay, great. So in the next video, we will take this function and we will look at it using Python Tutor so that we have a better understanding of how the values get returned. I will see you then.